Boom, boom. All right. I'm hoping, let's make sure we're going live and it's all functioning and working and all that awesome stuff. I think we should be. Hello, everybody. Hello, internet.
Hello. Hey, hey.
Hey, John, I want you to do the class today. Just do it. Do it.
I'm Fisher. Do it.
Yeah, John, do it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Do
we're
it,
live
John.
for today.
Damn. Too many Johns in this world. I think you guys should battle to the death. It'd make the most sense. Cool. Yeah, we're live then. Yo, what's up, everybody? Hopefully everybody's doing well out there in cyberspace. I got my students here. We got a decent group here at the end. Everybody kind of came through. This is great. I'm excited. If you are just now joining us, we've been spending the past, this is going to be our 4th week total. This is the design plan, is to spend 4 weeks total and then have the students, my students, you guys work together and kind of find some interesting things and build out your own stuff in regards to making frames for main 12 Monkeys and Donnie Darko. Sorry, I was looking at the images and I was getting lost in what I was gonna say. But yeah, so we're doing this right now, and this is our final class. So this is more or less the idea with this one is to kind of really sit down and help think about any kind of refinement or revisit or fix any kind of issues you might have had, or I'll give any kind of notes that will make sense and stuff. But this is close to the end of the process where you'd be getting a lot of mostly just feedback to finish it out. And right after this phase, basically you'd be sending it out to the client. And to give you some perspective as far as like timeline that I work in the actual industry, is I probably have like maybe 2 to 3 days to get here, 2 days maybe, depending on how difficult it is, maybe 4. But usually it's within a week to kick out ideas and then submitting a presentation and stuff. So I'll go into that, and if anybody has questions, John is going to be, not Fisher, John Ribera is going to, how do you pronounce your last name, John? Should know this,
Rivera,
but
you got it.
yeah, that's what I
You
thought.
got it.
But I didn't want to like butcher it, so
Rivera.
okay, good. And then
Roll the R.
what's up?
So you could roll the R's.
Okay, show me how to do it.
Rivera.
Ribera.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So proud.
Ferrocarril.
There it
Carrie.
is.
All right. I need to work on that. I haven't rolled my R's in a very long time. Just a gringo, just chilling out in San Diego. So yeah.
You got Leo's file?
Cool. Leo's file came in.
Yeah,
Awesome.
I'm downloading it right now.
Thank
And can
you.
you share your Google Hangout screen so the students can see?
I don't want to do that. That's not good.
Ah.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see. There we go. Let me know when you guys can see it. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So yeah, just letting everybody know that that's what we're doing. This is the final week. This is and it's been about a 4-week process, and it's awesome that you guys are here to do this, because it takes a lot of extra time and effort out of your day. But this is basically like extending our mentorship, which is really cool. And I really love what you guys are doing. You guys are a great group of people, and I just wanted to continue the process. So let's dig in. So I'm going to go ahead and start with Yaz's group. So we got Yaz, Robbie, and Justin. You guys all kind of collaborated and worked on frames for 12 Monkeys. We're here towards the end. If you can remember, I gave quite a few notes on just things of refinement and finishing things out, and then also just kind of how to get everything looking to the final pace and all that kind of stuff. So who wants to be the spokesperson? Or you guys can all jump in, just as long as you guys aren't yelling at each other. So yeah,
Sure.
here we go. That's Yaz. So,
Yeah, this is yes.
say hello to
So
the
we
people.
added, so we went in and we did those beginning frames with the virus. Justin created a really nice like test tube and kind of put the virus in there. and we use that sort of like as the transition into the spiral slash time machine. And I thought that transitioned well into like the spider frames. I dropped, and we were talking about dropping the frames with the fence. We wanted to sort of create like that, the tendrils of the virus picking up like a silhouette of a person, but we didn't get a chance to do it. But I think this bridges nicely from the virus to like this time machine into the spider web. And then Robbie went and post-processed all the frames a little bit more. And yeah, that's what we have.
Awesome. Great job, guys. Thank you guys for working together on this and having fun. I can tell you guys enjoying it. So super cool. Did you guys have any kind of difficulties as you're going through the process? Is there anything that didn't seem clear or make sense as we were going through it?
It made sense to me. I guess the only thing was just kind of like syncing up, getting time, and syncing up some of our like our process. Some of our, I noticed some of our Photoshop files need to be kind of like named, like just some things like naming conventions and all that, and just like having things ready to be handed off. Just getting better at that. That was useful too.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything, Robbie, you want to add? That's cool too.
No, Robbie, you're not allowed to speak.
Yeah, I don't have any questions per se. The biggest learning thing for me was collaborating with two new people, and Justin's on the East Coast, and basically Yaz is in a different place than I am, so we're all collaborating through the internet, which was completely new experience for me.
Oh yeah?
And
You never done that before?
no, I'm always in person with people.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that's cool. That's good. I guess it's weird because I just assume everybody does because I've been doing it for so long. Excuse me. Like, I don't know, 5 years or something like that. So, did you have any like communication breakdowns or anything that was an issue for you guys as you guys were building things out?
I mean, there's lots of little points of friction, just like file size, uploading and downloading things is a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
And just like finding time on everyone's schedule. And I guess when we started out, I was a little MIA because I had a lot of personal stuff going on. And then we were kind of chatting on a weekly cadence, and then toward the end, it started to be more daily. So I guess in the future, I don't really know the right pace to go and sync with everyone on the team.
Yeah. Are you curious about how I do it?
Yeah, I'd love to
Definitely
hear
figured
that.
out a system. Okay, there's a couple things, and I mean, Learn Squared is basically that too. I mean, we're all in different locations completely. We don't have a physical location. We run everything through, like, we use many different communication devices. One of them mainly is Google Hangouts. That's the one that we've chosen to use. We also use Skype when Google Hangouts acts like a jerk. So, and we do that sometimes because, yeah, none of them are actually really good. There's none that are just like the best. So usually that really works really well. We use one of the things that I found that really works amazing is because a lot of the people I work with are in completely different continents and time zones. You know, like there'd be like New Zealand or China or somewhere in Europe or something. And what I used to do is like have to stay up super late and make calls and do all that kind of stuff. What I've figured out is really good now, and I do it for Lost Boy even, is I will make videos. I'll record the screen making videos, and I use a program called OBS for that, and it's really good. And what I can do is just go through and basically critique and give all the notes that I want. There's a couple really cool things that happen with that. It's unfiltered, so like it's just me speaking without any interruptions. So it's like directly feedback from me, and that's really good. And then there's a couple other interesting things that work from that, but I record videos and just send them the link to my video, so it's like we had a call, but they get direct notes and there's no long email. Because like one thing I like to try to avoid is pointless long dribble emails, because those just get too much, you know. So So that's some of the things. I used to use Basecamp a lot. Basecamp's really quite great. I don't use it much anymore because I found a couple of other systems that work. And then just communicating as much as possible and being as clear as possible and having a schedule and everything is agreed upon beforehand, and doing a lot of work beforehand and working on the system of communication and stuff. So that's just a couple of things that I do that I found that work really well too. So definitely, if you decide to try and do that later on, definitely try that out. And I also use Dropbox for all my image and file resources that I'm sharing and passing back. It's gotten a lot better. Like John is kind of becoming a wizard of it too. So let's call him John R in here, just because you get confused. But yeah, I mean, how do you like using Dropbox?
For me?
Yeah, dude, Mr. Wizard.
Yeah, I'm starting to love it, actually. I'm understanding like the whole bandwidth thing, what files need to be, on my computer, and, accessibility and how to link it all, sync it all. And then at first we were just like, I didn't know how to do much of it. And I continued to read and read, and it's just like, all right, this is starting to make sense. But yeah, at first it was overwhelming. I was like, oh man, how do I link these?
Yeah, it's interesting. There's like no right answer or process. So it's more or less just finding what works for you best. But it's all about communication, So and try to remove as much of that like annoyance, like file size and all that stuff. I mean, we have that nightmare all the time. So
I totally see the importance of a efficient naming convention.
yeah, that's super
that we
important.
built. Yeah. Like me and Andrew just keep working back and forth. It's like, things get confusing, especially for editors.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've learned a lot so far.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I think keeping everybody on the same page, aligning together and stuff, just as if you would in a different space. Because the thing I love about working remotely and freelance is that I can do whatever I want anytime I want. And usually I just choose to work really hard and do always work. But that's kind of the funny thing, because now I work from home, I probably work way more than I would if I worked at a place, But it's just because I'm quite connected, like symbiotically, to the work that I do. So. Just something to think about. But hey, Justin, you just joined in. Can you mute your mic if you're not going to talk? Bam, thank you. Awesome. If you want to talk, you can. I just want to make sure that it's quiet in the stream. Okay, so does that make sense, Robbie? Is that cool?
Yeah, I love that feedback. I never heard about doing video notes, but I could see that being really useful. One follow-up question would be, like, how do you set expectations, and in terms of like cadence of talking with everyone? So like, I'm kind of curious with your Learn Squared professors, or John and Andrew, like, do you guys all just expect to chat every day, or how do you make sure you can get time with everyone?
Yeah, because I mean, myself, I'm really, really busy. I have so much projects. I'm working on 3 client projects right now, and then directing Lost Boy, and then we have Learn Squared as well. So I have 5 big things that are constantly nipping at me for attention. So I always tell Andrew, who's our coordinator, and he kind of sets everything up, and he's like, what's his official role? John, I forget his official role name. It's like
I don't remember either.
Master of Operations or something. But
Yeah.
anyways, I always tell him, like, if it's not on the calendar, I won't make it, because everything has to be like a notice for me. So but yeah, we do every day we meet and do a quick like 10-15 minute call, just to connect and make sure everybody's on the same page and stuff, and there's no abundance. I just we'll keep this, well, I guess it doesn't matter, but because I'm going to be releasing the podcast eventually, but everybody here, that you guys will know a little bit about it. But I just had a podcast with amazing Richard Taylor yesterday, and that was just like incredible. And I was asking him similar questions, and he was telling me some really awesome things. He was saying that when he's at the workshop, he always carries, like, he has an earpiece in, and there's about 20 people that are at the workshop who are kind of like I guess, more of the high up creative people, or I guess, in different divisions. And it's constantly going with people talking about what's going on in the workshop in a creative fashion, and just kind of open. And he says it's really interesting, because I think it creates this really special network basically that happens. So it's kind of like this, like a direct stream of information that's being connected between everybody there, and it becomes this really interesting network. And I was kind of blown away by that, because when I met him when I was out there, he had his earpiece in and it was going off while he was talking. I was like, wow, this is interesting. He's still talking, but I can hear it going off in his ear. So he eventually pulled it out, and then he's talking, but I just thought it was really unique. So there's also that too. If you want to be completely connected, you have that. But for Learn Squared, we talk at least once or twice a day, always, just because there's so much to be done and there's so many things to take care of. So yeah, and that's always scheduled and it's put into the calendar so everybody knows. And yeah, and we try to be as accountable as possible, right, John? Yeah, life has its way of getting in the way.
Yeah, man.
So. But yeah, that's a system. I mean, it's one thing I realized too with all this stuff, whether it's creating work or creating a business or running anything, running a household or whatever, it all comes down to a process, expectations, and being realistic about it and finding your best path basically. So does that answer the question, Robbie?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. Awesome. Yeah, these are all things that you will find as you go. If you decide to do this stuff, you'll find your own process and stuff, but I pretty much guarantee you're going to probably end up in a similar realm as I am. So, all right, let's talk about your guys' work. So there's a couple things I could suggest and let you guys know what I think, and then we can move from there and just give you guys some quick feedback. There's something about this first frame I really like. I'm going to go ahead and make the canvas a little bit bigger so I can make notes. Bam. Let's see. Brush a little bit bigger. So there's something I really like about this frame. Graphically, it just feels like a graphic like a book cover of some sort. So that's really cool. Let's see. I think it's stuck on something. There we go. Yeah, so there's something really cool. I definitely dig this. It's quite fitting and interesting, and I think there's something really, really cool to be explored with this, like the style and look of it. So definitely digging that. So let me just clean this brush off. I think this is really interesting. You guys mentioned this is the test tube. Is that what this is? This frame right here?
Yeah, it has like the vials of that virus they speak of at the beginning of the movie.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Okay, so that makes sense, and they're all kind of floating through there. And then, are you thinking that these kind of is all the virus kind of like going into one of them, or are these like is this going to fall farther away and turn into a virus, and then they're all kind of swarming down into the corner of the frame?
It's supposed to show the virus coming out of the test tube and like going out into the world, and then the whole chain reaction of everything afterward.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so if you're going to do that, I would probably suggest some way like having it so that there's some that are coming out, so it feels like they're coming out from the source, So that would be kind of what I would do, just so you can create that connection, because I didn't read that. Sometimes too, and I'm creating things that I think that, well, you're the one that's creating it, so in your head it's already done the way it needs to be, but sometimes you miss a communication. So I would suggest if you were trying to communicate that, that's just a no if you want to take it, but I would put it so that they're kind of coming out from inside this thing. So you could probably fill it in here too. So
Yeah, that's very helpful. Totally agree.
Yeah, just something to think about as far as legibility. And this is something that would save you a lot of time if you were like, when you make the thumbnail, you would just have like, either you're going to have it like a test tube, either it's like this, you just make a quick sketch of it, and then you'd have like the name here. Let me change the resolution of this actually, so my notes make sense and you can see them. Bam, bam, bam. Let's see. Okay, that should be a lot better. Then you have this, and then you would just like sketch out the idea that this would be, then the virus would be coming out of here. And then what that does, as I always say, it's like something to never miss because it's so cheap, cheap and affordable on the time. And I do it still to this day, and I find it the more that I work on this stuff, the faster I get. By using thumbnails is definitely like I still use it as like a working professional, so it's definitely something to put on your list. So just something to think about. This frame's really cool. I like the motion and how we're going into it. That's really cool. This is cool, like going down into it and seeing kind of like being pulled into it. And these are these, what are these artifacts right here? Are these the virus?
I would say maybe Justin or Yaz will say it's something else, but I'll say it's like the tube of time travel that's beginning to take over.
Oh, okay. So the time
Kind of
travel.
like that swirl that you see in the next frame.
Yeah, okay. With the 12 monkeys inside of it. Okay. Cool. And one thing I would do with the clarity of this, and this is just me again, and I think it's from the way I saw it when I had sketched it out, was that it would have like, you'd have your center, and it would have like this kind of, this feels really refined, and I would keep it still like kind of in this space where it's not so refined, or it's much more graphic. This has a lot of I mean, it has a graphic quality to it, but it feels a little bit more refined, whereas I think it could be cooler if it was more edgy. And this is more of a note on like the style of the final execution. So you'd have like this spiral that's coming out. It's very graphical, and it's kind of getting thicker as it's coming towards us. And as it does, that's when we have the chain of monkeys kind of going around hand in hand. And then maybe in the center you'd have like the crazy monkey head and the crazy eyes and stuff. It's all screaming. So it'd just be more or less graphic like that. So you have their arms like this, and they're coming closer. Again, don't mind the sketch. The sketch is not, the thumbnails aren't designed to be like this amazing thing that you would show the client. They're designed to save you from making weird stuff through the process, because as I mentioned, you have your idea here, and then you have your final execution here, and you have this long pass in between, and there's all kinds of distractions and derailing to get you there. It's, again, I always use the analogy of driving, right? So if you have this one location here and you have the other one right here, you might have to take like a bunch of side roads to get to your location, then all of a sudden you end up over here. It's just like you want to make sure that by using the thumbnail, it's like a precursor. It's like logging in your idea into your GPS or something. And this just really helps you be efficient and think about it as close as you can. If you want to, you can definitely make really clean and beautiful thumbnails. That'd be awesome too. It's fine as long as it doesn't take too much time. But just think of it as like a place to locate those things. And these are just notes from me. If you guys are happy with what you've made, I would say go for it, because at this stage, this is basically the stage that you would put this all in a presentation, as I've taught you guys how to do that as well in the class. But you put it all in a presentation, and then you'd ship it off to the client, and you can share with them and all that good stuff. So, but yeah, so that's kind of my notes here. Just I would think about the style, and keep it edgy. I hate using those words because those are like freaking creative agency words. You can't stand those words. Or like, make it more organic, make it more edgy. It's like, get out of here. So I apologize for using it. Let me find a better word. I would say keep your style more in the stencil world, as you've done with the other stuff. Keep it graphically, and then I would add some Z-depth by making it smaller here and thicker here. And there's a way, I think what you could do to make the 12 monkeys an actual path is you could find the 12 monkeys, grab a couple of them and make a chain of them in, say, like Illustrator, and then you would take that and then live trace it, and then you would make a brush out of it, and then you would basically make one part of it, like let's say this would be like, your size of this would be like, I don't know, 100 or something, and then you would make a circle. You'd make this basically, which is quite easy as well. You'd make a spiral, and then you'd have this one be like 1 point, and then there you go. You wouldn't even have to make it in 3D. It would naturally make the the monkey guy is like quite nice scaled, and it'll feel like it's in depth, but it'll also have that graphic quality. So something to think about. So it's connecting the monkeys with the time warp and all that kind of stuff, and kind of going down it, and that could be really cool. I mean, that image alone is, if you do it right, it's iconic enough to be, it could tell the whole film in just this one frame. And remember how we always talk about, like, you know, the iconicness of making things and thinking about how to distill your ideas down to the source, and then how to kind of play in that realm. My friend Ollie Moss, he's really, really great at those kind of things. He's great at distilling things down. I remember when I'd first worked with him and we were hanging out at Prologue, it was so cool to see how he operated, because I had no idea of what that stuff was until, like, I started seeing his work, and then he really blew up, which is really great. And he's a really cool person, and it was just really cool to see kind of his progression, but also understanding, like, how he goes about making his work be so iconic and stuff. And it's more or less like having a clever viewpoint on things, you know. So let's see, sorry, complications. My hotkeys weren't working. So that would be my notes for that frame. For these are fine. I think these are cool. Definitely, let's see. Yeah, that's cool. This is interesting, cool, because you have a photorealistic looking thing inside it, but I guess these are both kind of photos as well, so these are cool. Yeah, we went through this one last time. I would say you could probably play with the type too. You could probably put like based on right here, just to kind of offset it, and maybe put, I don't even know how to say that, but that name, but maybe kind of offset it so it's off the axis a little bit, or you can leave it like this too. So it's either way. One of my problems is I like to play with placement a lot, and then I end up just doing like 10 iterations and and then I kind of lose sight of what I'm trying to do. But usually what I've been trying to do now is, as you can see, this is kind of how I taught it too, is when I make the thumbnails, I kind of just draw it in here, and the thumbnails they're a place where your intuition kind of kicks in. So it's just a practice kind of thing, but I think this is kind of how I do it too. I just kind of draw in where it could possibly go. Even when I'm working on the frame, if I'm like, okay, it's time to place the type, I will kind of lay out where I want the type to go and how it would be. So same for here. This is really cool. I love this frame. This one gets a nice big heart. I love this abstraction too. This is good. Like, as I mentioned last time, having in between frames, there's so much that you can get out of this spider as you did. So we have a lot more here. One thing I would add in here is make sure you add in these little dudes here on the eyes if you can. I think it'll just sell the idea of that transition basically as you're going into this next one. This is really cool. For this one, I would say you would probably want to keep the, just to make sure it's communicating properly, I'd put that kind of thing on this outside, and I would probably make this a hard edge. I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to blend into it, but if you're ever curious about how this works, nature holds a patent to all originality, basically, for the most part, and you can always just go look at like how a bug's eye reflects and distorts imagery. So you can go and look at that as an example. But I wouldn't leave that. I wouldn't lose that highlight, just because I think it connects the shots, and put that there. And you could even probably take your photograph or your render, whatever it might be, their final frame, and then kick it into Cinema 4D and make a half sphere or warp a sphere or so, and then project that image into here, then take a render of that top view down, then you can get it'll warp it really well, and it'll feel more realistic if you want to do that. So just something to think about. What's up, Yaz?
That's cool. I love that idea.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, it's something that I've started doing like a couple years ago, and just projecting things in there to get the proper distortion, and it works really well. So it's just something to give a try and think about too. So Maybe you would want to, I guess the TVs probably come on once you go in there, I guess. Is that the idea?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
No, I was just confirming as well.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Maybe just like one of them's on or something. I don't know. Because, well, maybe not. I don't know. I'd have to think about it, but it'd be cool to kind of show in order to show emotion. It would be you might want to put some TVs on or something just to show that they're turning on, or some of them are on and some of them are off, or there's a sequence that's happening, So like that one's coming on and that two and then three, but you're with a still image, you're creating motion and you're creating imagination for your end user, which would be your client or whoever it is, yourself. So something to think about right there. I love this frame. This one's really great. I love the way the type's laid out and the distortion of it's really cool. And going into here, this is really cool. Again, gets a good old heart of love. Take that off here. This is really cool. I love this angle too. It's really nice. Like as I mentioned last time, I love how this is it has the textures and the skin texture of the back of a head, and it reads, but it's still very abstract. So you guys have done a really beautiful way of showing Bruce without showing Bruce, which I think is the goal, and I think it's really good to how that works and stuff. So one thing I would be cautious of is your effects. Like think about how the effects works naturally. So the effects itself, they work like this. They're very opaque. Let me use a different color, sorry, so you guys can see. They use it works like this basically. It would match the same contrast and value, whereas this feels like it's a Photoshop trick. It usually wouldn't do this. So it's just something to think about. If you wanted, I can tell that you probably did that because you didn't want it to distress the image too much. So this would read, this abstract form would read. So if you wanted that, then maybe just kind of cut out all this top stuff of the effect and just leave the bottom, but turn the contrast up to this way. And that way it'll still have some of it, or you can grab little bits and pieces of some of the abstracts up here and keep that. So just so it has that good connection between these two frames, but just something to think about. These frames are all super awesome. I love them. I love, you guys know I love this kind of graphic design, very broad and simple, but has all the right pieces going to it. And the way that you guys have created motion from this is stellar. So I love that. My mind doesn't have to use too much imagination. And sometimes you want to, George Lois said it perfectly in one of his books. He said that if you spend your life doing dumb work, you're going to work for dumb people. I think it's something like that. But so what I'm saying here is it's good to help do a 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's also really great to kind of allow people to imagine different spots, but don't make the leap too far, because then you'll lose them as well. You want to make sure that you can send them basically the address where you want to go. This is your concept and this is you, and you want to make sure that they can reach there. So, but these are really great. I love these, really nice and graphical and stuff. This is cool. I'd say it's kind of missing the clarity now at this point, but I think it's kind of cool how it works. I love the logo. I love how it's dripping and it feels like paint and stuff too. If you squint your eyes, and this is something I do a lot when I'm working, especially with design, is I'm constantly trying to see contrast. And the best way to see contrast for me is, I'm not sure if you guys do this, but I would strongly suggest it. Start squinting your eyes, let your eyelashes go in front of your eyes, and blur the image itself so that you can see just the core of what you're looking at. And then also when I make things, I like to zoom out as much as I can so I can see if an image reads really well from about here, it's going to read really well from here, So something to think about as you're working on your visual clarity and stuff. And these are things that I learned along the way that it's kind of funny. I didn't realize I squinted my eyes so much, and I think I was drawing Lost Boy or something, and my friend was over at the house. He's like, "Damn, can you see?" he was laughing at me because my eyes are squinted the whole time, as if I just woke up and there's sun in my eyes or something. But I squint a lot because it helps me see the image, basically see the forest for the trees or whatever that saying is. So it helps with the clarity. But all in all, I think my only main notes for you guys is to rethink and reform this frame right here so that it reads more like you guys are saying, like the virus is escaping. So show me that, because this makes sense, but it would make a lot more sense if you put them together. If you wanted to, I'd maybe make this time warp out of the monkeys. So maybe set up a rig that would have the monkeys in there or something. I'm sure Houdini has something like that. Houdini's so amazing. So I know, you use that a lot. So and then redo this frame, make it more graphical, stencil, and have some depth. And I would use the monkeys basically rather than doing an overlay. I would do it more graphical. I think it would fit the rest of the project a little bit better as far as the tone and style that you have connected, because then it wouldn't be too different. These are all cool. These is fine. Let's say, let's go ahead and leave all that if you wanted to. I'd adjust this frame so you had the highlight on it, and then project the image into it like I was mentioning. I think that would be good. All the rest of these are pretty stellar, and I'd say just maybe play with this one. And my only notes for this would be readjusting the frame so that either like the 12 monkeys goes inside the dark space of the eye, and then you can read that this is the monkey's face. I think you're just missing the rest of this nostril. I think if you could show this a little bit more, it would read perfectly fine. So just something to think about. But those are all my notes. So pretty good, guys. Pretty good. High fives.
Awesome notes. Thanks very much. Whenever
welcome.
whenever you give us notes, it's like, oh yes, it's so obvious.
Yeah, thanks, dude. And like I said, I have the complete luxury to let you go and do all this work, and then I come in and go like, hey, look at this and check that out. Like, and one thing I would suggest to you guys and everybody that's listening too is to have a group of people that, or a person, or like surround yourself with really awesome people that will give you honesty and notes. Because as harsh as it'll be sometimes, it's what you need to hear to make the best work possible. And one thing is, I get asked about that a lot, and you don't want to get notes from everybody, because there's a couple of things that would distort. I'm going to do a little quick rant on notes from people, if that's okay, because I think it's quite important. I think that's something that's kind of gets overlooked. You should surround yourself with like the best people you can, because they're gonna help you improve basically. And so you want to make sure that you're improving and you're getting better and stuff. And one thing I would say when you're getting notes is be aware of people's bias. So if you get somebody to give you if you look at their work, and let's say they're like a friend or a colleague, and you look at their work and they have a certain style, they look at the world through their own lens. So they're going to have their own intentions, basically. And you are over here, and you have your own style, whether you know it or not. Either you're developing it or you have it now. You have your own style. And when you ask for notes from somebody, let's say this person has a very strong style and it's very unique and whatever. And I would like to think that I have a style, but at the same time, I don't want to have a style, because I want to be able to do everything. So I'm very cautious of that. So, but when you ask for notes from somebody or opinions, don't let them tell you to make it your style or their style, basically, because they'll do that unknowingly. They'll be like, hey, make it like my style, but they won't say that. Listen for really clean and concise, constructive criticism that has something to do with the fundamentals of what it is that you're trying to create. And by that, I mean like the design is off, or like your contrast isn't working, or try and adjust your color levels, or the fidelity of your final composition isn't working because it needs to have this and have this is more or less like somebody giving you opinions and feedback that's going to help you in the interim, in the middle, before it hits your style, basically. If you want to talk about style, it's a completely different topic, but one thing I would be always cautious of is when you're getting feedback from somebody is just be aware of their own agenda and how they look at the world. They might not intentionally mean it, but when they give you notes, they might be thinking like, how they would do it, basically. And rightfully so, they have their own style, and that's kind of how they've evolved. But, it's just something to think about. So, that's my own feedback and my own notes. Like, you can go and ask like somebody that doesn't do art at all and ask them for feedback and see what you get. you might just get like the stupidest feedback, like it makes me angry, and then you're like, okay, well, I guess that makes sense, and that isn't stupid feedback. But depending on who it is, you just got to be really cautious of who you get the feedback from. When I make work, I constantly love to show it and share it with friends and people, because that's part of why I make things too, is like to collaborate and share with people. Not everybody's like that, and everybody has a different style. When I get good feedback, it's, let's say I'm building something in 3D, for example, and 3D is very technical and it has a lot of interesting like technicalities. It's basically like, for me, what it feels like to me is like, if I were to say sketching is like going through an old town or something. It's quite simple, and it's not too crazy, and I can get to my final location pretty easy. I think 3D is like the most crazy maze you can ever imagine. It's just the most black hole thing ever. This is like going through 3D, and then boom, then you're out of it. The process of making a good sketch, of course, can be very complicated, and it takes time, but for the most part, it doesn't have like, oh, the subsurface scattering is like needs to be 0.005 to whatever, and the epidermis has to be this, and it's so technical and so savage. So when I'm getting feedback from somebody, let's say I have a friend that's really good at understanding how 3D works, I will be very cautious of how they're giving me the feedback. As long as if it's technical, that'll make sense. Or if they're trying to go like, yeah, you should switch the light and move the light here, I will be asking them like, why would you want me to switch the light here? Is that more of a style, or is that technical advice? There's two very simple, different things, and be aware of the agenda. So it's just something I want to tell you guys, because just be aware that everybody here has their own style, whether it's evolved yet, or if it's good or exposed or it's not. We all have a style, and be aware when you're giving notes that you might have a completely different style from me, and that's something I always try to be cautious of when I'm giving you guys notes, is I don't want to stifle your own creative style. I will just tell you as much as I can as on a more broad design level if things are working or not, and I'll let you guys decide the rest of it. So just something to think about when it comes to feedback and stuff. So be aware of people's agendas, basically, because unknowingly they'll go out and they might be giving you like whack feedback. They're like, yeah, make it purple. And like, why do I want to make it purple? Oh, because I love purple. I'm like, well, I don't like purple. I'm not going to make it purple. So yeah, something like that just to think about and keep in mind. Great job, guys. Thank you. Hopefully, sorry for that rant, but I think it's quite necessary. So, and it's important in regards to that. And also for people that are giving feedback, and they're working with people, and if you're giving feedback and you're working on something with a team, those are important things to keep in mind. And just to give you a quick example, when I was going through and making my notes just directly, that's how I make my videos, is go through it and make as many notes as I can, and make it kind of connected as well too. So it's like that was a direct example of exactly how I do it. All right. Good job, guys. Thank you. You guys can definitely submit some more if you guys want to. You don't have a lot of changes. I'd say like this frame is a quick change. This is quite a few quick change. And this frame's a quick change. The rest of it, I think it all works. You could probably make this a little bit more visually clear, like a little bit more visually clear if you want to. You don't have to though. If your goal is to make it more abstract, then I'd say just go for it. And then you guys are good to go. So yeah, you guys should share it and post it up and send it to your moms. Make them proud. Awesome. Who would like to go first? I have Leo or John. John, do you have to leave soon? John.
Hello.
What's up, dude?
Not much. How you doing?
I'm good. I stayed up till like 5 o'clock working, so I'm kind of like in a fun space, a good headspace, like a weird headspace. It's octane, dude. It's addicting. It's like octane. For real, it's really quite bad actually. How crazy I get into it, but it's awesome. I had a lot of fun. I can't wait to share all this stuff with you guys. It's really something special. It should be cool. So yeah, I'm good though. By the way, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Leaving for vacation tonight, so just trying to
Awesome.
jam out as much work as I can before then.
Great, dude. Thank you for doing this. Where are you guys going?
Glacier National Park.
Oh, okay, cool. I've heard of that place. How long are you guys going
Yeah, it
for?
looks like some great hiking and stuff like that, so I'm pretty excited.
That's awesome. It's so nice to get a breath of fresh air, man. That's really cool.
Absolutely.
How long are you guys going for?
Like a week. I
That's
never take off
awesome.
that long, so
This is great.
it'll be different.
Yeah, that will be different. Try to enjoy it. Try to disconnect as much as you can.
Definitely will.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay, let's dig in. So last week we were talking. Let me zoom out here. We were talking about, some of my notes for John were to keep it as simple as possible and pare it down. I just wanted to see graphically where he would end up. And when you're trying to represent something as complex as a film, which is very, very complex, many layers for the most part, how do you distill that down to very simple shapes? And you have to really think about, what the story's trying to tell you and all those kind of things. I'll let you, John, go through it first for me and just kind of pitch me your ideas as if I was your client and kind of just give me the play-by-play through each frame and kind of explain your meanings and purposes, and then I'll come in after that, and if I have any notes, I'll kick them your way just to have you think about them. So go
All
for
right,
it.
sounds good. Yeah. The notes you gave me last week were really helpful, and I incorporated some of those already. Um, First frame I just left the same, representing the jail cell, but I like the idea of the lines coming down in frame two as a transitional frame that you talked about, and that led to frame three
Mm-hmm.
with the spider, and then zooming in on it in frame four just to kind of break up the color, which was nice, I thought. Um, to frame five, then I kind of saw that almost if it's a burst of light or bursts of white as the lines kind of split apart and start to spin a little bit for the time travel aspect. Uh, Frame six is kind of a reference to Vertigo, as the frames are kind of dropping down a little bit. Frame seven, then they kind of split apart and go into smaller, representing the insane asylum. And then we would do a pull out, and it's like they're multiplying to kind of represent the virus.
Mm-hmm.
In frame eight, in frame nine, it'd be a big pull out, and almost as if they're the smoke or plumes from an airplane blasting off. And then frame nine is the scientists, and then splitting, which you had talked about too, which I thought was kind of a cool idea, is it splits into the 12 monkeys logo resolve at the end. Then
Awesome. Cool. Yeah, this is really cool. And I think there's a lot of interesting things that are happening. I think graphically it's making a lot of sense. You have here, let me just make this frame bigger. Graphically, you have a lot of really cool things going on. Like we talked about, this is the jail shot right here, which is really good. This in between is really nice, and see how easy it is to get so much more out of your frames by just putting some in betweens that tell the motion side of things, which is really good. This is really cool. I think this is good. This looks really good. One thing I would say with this one is when you're changing scale and you're bringing things up, just be aware of your resolution. And I'll get into did you submit your Photoshop files too?
I submitted frame a couple of them. I think frame
This one?
the one where they're splitting apart, so 11, and then frame 6 maybe, the vertigo kind of thing, because that one I was kind of having a few problems getting to represent as well as I would have liked.
Okay. All right, let's see. So one of the things, it's hard for me to, I guess I could probably grab the JPEG. Let me see if you have any other files in here.
Yeah, I did send each of them as
a larger
JPEG.
file?
They're just like flattened JPEGs though.
Okay, cool. That's fine. Let's see that. So yeah, I'll go through that. And at this stage, you would want to, this would be your final submission. And if you had time, you would try to make it as refined as possible. Like, again, I'll just beat this into your guys' head, and everybody too. It's like it starts off with your sketches and your ideas, and then you go through there and you make an iteration, you make any adjustments and changes, and then you get to the final, and then you send it off to your client. I get a lot of questions of people asking me, do I show my client thumbnails? And no, I don't, because they would get confused and they wouldn't trust me. Unless it's like Ridley Scott, who's an artist or something that he really understands this stuff, then I would say, yeah, it's totally fine to have to send sketches to Ridley, but I'd also send something really beautiful along with it as like a gift basically to him. So I'll get into this frame in a minute, so I'll check that. That'll be something I'm going to check off. I like your use of your typography, which is really nice. You have the different weights here, which is really cool between the two names. You have the surname, obviously a little bit thicker. This is like a black or a bold or something. This is like a book or something, which is really nice. The way that this is coming on is cool. I'd probably make this like probably almost non-existent, so it really did play it off like it was moving. So probably just paint that out. Actually, I'll do content aware fill because that's something that works really well. I'll take this, duplicate that, and then I'll grab this section right here and go to image. Which one is it? Type, select, filter. I do this every time. Yeah, there it is. Yeah.
You can also just press Shift and delete.
Shift delete. Let me see.
Yeah.
That. Undo. So shift and delete. Ah, dude, thank you so much. So much better. Shift delete. Yes. Robbie, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. Very cool. All right, so and the reason why I'd remove that is because it would tell this a little bit better. So this is something to think about. I think this frame works, and I'll get into it in a minute. So I'll put the little checkbox on this one to get into it in a larger format. These look cool. I like the way that you're talking about these being the insane asylums and the people, and I could see these kind of from the top view. I'm not sure if this is your intention, but I could see these kind of moving around. You would animate them kind of like you would people from the top, so that'd be kind of cool.
Yep, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, and I think like some of them are bumping into like a wall or something, or some of them are bumping into one another. Some of them are spinning, just trying to capture that energy basically. One thing I would be cautious of, and this is something I mentioned too, when you're using this kind of effect, don't change it for the sake of being clarity in your Photoshop files. Because it wouldn't do this necessarily. I mean, this is just my opinion, but it wouldn't do this necessarily. So this feels like a Photoshop effect of another effect. If you're going to use that effect, honor that effect by keeping it pretty raw and honest, and for all these as well too. And I said this in the 12 Monkeys thing too. It's more or less like the way you're compositing, bringing things together. If it doesn't work visually, then it's okay. You can find a different way to blend it in. Maybe what we could do is just invert it and turn it into like this color or something. But usually, rarely would it ever go. Would the effect be like a saturation of itself? So it's just something to think about. And it could be. I could be completely wrong. It just in my head it just reads wrong. So it'd be more like how you have this contrast value. It'd be more like that. I guess you could have it like this, but that's more or less just how you would finesse it. Visually or story-wise, what is this frame again? I'm just wanting to make sure I got it right.
That's the virus kind of turning into like the jet plumes, and that's the jet blasting off.
Okay, gotcha.
So
Okay.
the line going up is like representing the jet
Okay.
airplanes as he's going around the world.
Okay, cool. All right. And then we have, this is the therapist, and then these are the patients. Is that what it is?
It
Or
could
is this
represent
the lead
doctors
character?
and the therapist, or it could represent the scientist and Cole.
Okay, cool. Or it could be like the main character, I guess, being quite different from the rest of the herd. Something like that, maybe. You could always represent the difference between Bruce and Brad, I forget their names in the film, but they're different roles and stuff. You can think about it as well. There's something there, because you could have like this one kind of tilted off its kelter ever so, and that could be Brad, and then this could be Bruce. So it's just something to think about. And it's like I was saying last time, making something iconic, when I use the human face example from Scott McCloud's book on understanding comics. If you draw like a very detailed face, only a certain amount of people will connect with that because they carry those similar features. So if like you have like a person with a big afro, like it will make sense to me, but I won't relate to it. But if we just distill it down to two circles and a line, it becomes iconic. Everybody can represent and be close to what it is that representing basically. So, but yeah, so there's that. I like the idea of splitting these things, as we talked about last time, kind of like a cell splitting, which is really cool. Like if you're looking in a petri dish or something, the way that the cell itself would split, and then and I'll get into it in your file. I'm gonna check out this one too. So let's go into. I'll go in this one, and then I'll go into this one because you wanted some help with this one right here, and then I'll get into this one. So let's go into the bigger files here. So here's that one. And at this point too, I'm gonna start digging into like making your frames final and all that kind of stuff, and making sure that they read well and all that good stuff to the client, and just giving you notes more or less on creating. See, I'm gonna grab this Photoshop file. Sorry, doing this at the same time is difficult, but this is where I would have it. So it's the final image. So you got to really think about, it's more or less composition. One thing overall in your color palette, I would say like you'd probably want to take it away from the pink realm and turn it more into the blood red, I guess. Let's see if I can adjust these to get it to it. Color balance maybe. Let's see, turn into that. Maybe add a little bit. Pull that out. I think I'll adjust the levels too. Turn that up. Turn this down. Shift this ever so slightly. So yeah, I would make it a little bit more blood red rather than in the pink in the light form, and I think it happened because all the effects that you put on there, it turns it pink. So that's just something to think about. When you're applying this, whether your intention is to like just have it as an overlay or not, what I would suggest is with this stuff, I would you have remember one thing we talked about a lot in class is the edge control, right? Like how your edges are working and how they're blending together. What you want to do is, and I'll just maybe paint it just so I can explain how it would look. But what you want to do is soften your edge on here, because it would never be, if it was part of the same image, it wouldn't be hard like this. It would be much softer, just like everything else in the image. So I'm just softening the edge because you would never have these like straight lines and stuff. So yeah, like that. So you're integrating it a little bit more, and makes it a lot more legible basically, and it integrates itself into the actual frame too. So this, and I wouldn't do it like this. I would probably just figure out a way of blending the two so that it would have a good blend between the two things. There we go. There's plenty of ways to do this too. If you were to make your type in say like Adobe Illustrator, there's a way to like kind of waver the edge of your type if you want to, so that it has that already kind of natural thing, and then you would take that layer and you would kind of soften it on the edges and then add a little bit of a threshold or something to make it work a little bit sharper. This isn't the best brush for this either, so, but I'm just going to do it to the 2 and the 1 so you can see in the comparison. But yeah, you want to just be really cautious of your edges, because if your edges are sharp here and then really soft somewhere else, then it won't integrate basically. So you want to be really cautious of that. So I'm just softening up the edge on this cube, blending it together as it would naturally. Yeah. So and then that way it really becomes part of the image, that everything together kind of itself becomes together part of something. So, and sometimes if I'm in a rush, I'll just do it like this. If I don't want to like try to figure out how to make that effect work, you can just paint on it. And for those that are asking or wondering, I'm using a Cintiq 27 QHD, I think that's what it's called. It's a Wacom tablet. It's expensive, but it's so worth the money to do it, to use something like this. It's so important to have the right tools. So, but yeah, so just be really cautious of your edges. That's something that I noticed in a lot of people's work, that it takes something that's good, makes it great, because you manage to figure out a way of blending the two. So just be cautious of your edges and where your edges are going to be. If you're going to make something that is, if you're trying to make something that is, if you're using this effect right here, then everything has to have that same kind of effect. So the edges of this has to have that soft fall off. And let's go really deep into here. So there's like this value that's happening. Look at my, as I'm grabbing through here, look at the difference in here. This has got such a scale basically. And so you want to have that same kind of volume change that happens in the edges of yours, rather than going abruptly from here to here. So the change, you want it to be more or less like from here to there, to there, to there, to there, there. There's just a step basically. And if you're going to use that effect, you're going to want to put it on everything. So that's kind of like the dirty and fast way to do it. You just kind of paint it and match it all up. It also takes a little bit more time, if depending on what you're trying to do. But let's see if I can maybe try to pull it off here. So let me grab all these things. Does that make sense, John? It's turning it into
I think
orange.
he had to leave. He had a meeting with his client. He said he's going to watch the feed later, though.
Okay, cool. No worries. So here we are. We're in this one. So with this one, let's see where to go. So if I was going to try and make this, take this effect and apply it to this, what I would do, let's see a couple of things. So yeah, the edge control here is like you have a sharp object over something that is very distorted. So I'm going to select this one, hit hold Option and click on the eye, and click that off. I'm going to hit Command J. I'm going to duplicate it and bring this all the way up just so I can have it, can see it. I'm going to set it to normal. Try it again, and then I'm going to go and select color range. There's many different ways to do this, but this is the way that I'm just kind of try it really quickly. So I'm going to go through here, and I'm just going to use the eyedropper and hold Shift, and I'm going to grab that range. So I'll go over here. See how it's grabbing a lot more information. I'm going to hit OK. And now I have a mask. You can see all the marching ants over here. Set this to color dodge, drop that down again. The vertigo thing, I'll go and make a group out of it, and I'll make a mask. And now I will invert the mask. And then actually I'll invert it here. I hit, I'm going to take the group and my Command J. I'm going to invert it here. Now I'm going to move it. I disconnected the mask. Sorry if I'm moving fast, guys. In this group, the reason why I made another group is because I want to separate these two effects. Just because I want to see if I can adjust the edge basically ever so slightly. I disconnect the mask so that now I can go and hit V and then move this ever so slightly. And that creates a little bit of a dither effect, and it might take a couple times to do it. So I'll hit Command J and I will disconnect this, and I'll move this up a little bit here. This is just a very quick way to softly adjust the edge of your information basically, and it's a very quick trick basically. Doesn't take too much time, and it's something that you could use to kind of create a unique effect just by grabbing your main effect. For right here, what I would do is I'd probably just lower the opacity to kind of get it into that realm of the pink. So if we go really far into it, you can see I'm trying to match that pink basically. So go in here, and so it feels like it's a dithered delay effect that's happening, and so you can feel it kind of splitting off of there. That's a very quick way to do it. Let's play with your type. So I hit Command J. I'm going to grab this, and I would probably give this a little bit more room to breathe. Let's put the end of K by the Y. I'm just doing it by my eye too, so I'm just playing with it. Maybe split that a little bit, and probably drop this down in size. as we mentioned too in the classes, like if you're going to adjust the type on one frame, you should do it on all of them if you're going to keep it unison. If your type is going to be on that same layer. If not, don't worry about it. You can always find a different way of doing things too. There's no one rule, to be honest. As much as I would love that for that to happen, there's no real one rule for everything. And there is some fundamentals, but for the most part, it's mostly just trial and error and trying to find what works best for you. So find what that is to you, and then you'll be able to figure it out. I'm just playing with it now. This is when I'm saying like this is me giving you style advice. So whether it works or not, it's more or less me just kind of playing with kind of how I'm seeing it and how it looks to me. So yeah, so I just kind of play with that a little bit, just kind of readjusting things. And then as I mentioned before too, I like to save the other one just so I can look back at it and go, actually, I think this would probably be better if I just brought this over here and put the A and the K maybe aligned, or I'd match the K and the A at the end here and kind of create an invisible line of design basically that's going from this line right here that goes to here, it goes to here, and then it'll transition into the next frame. So, and then for your typography, I'm gonna do this every time. So Command J. Remember the edges. Always think about your edges. If this is a sharp edge and this is a soft edge, then you have a conflict of in your final composition. So what you need to do is slightly blur this. See how it's softened everything here. I'm gonna do the same thing to this as well. Hit Command J. I'm gonna make the other one invisible. I'm gonna go to Filter, Blur, Blur. Add some more blur. Okay, I'm hitting Command F. If you hit Command F, I'm on a PC. For those that are not on a PC, I forget what the command would be. And then I'm going to hit Command L, and I'm going to just play with the contrast if I can get any out of it. And it's very slight. These are all compositing, little compositing tricks and stuff. So it's just something to try and play with. I'll do maybe color dodge. See, maybe a linear, no, multiply, no, because it's white, overlay, oops, J, there we go. And these are just slight tricks that will help it kind of go into the other realm of being finished and feeling finished. See how that effect works and how it looks? It's a much softer edge. I should have saved your other one. Let me save a version of this so we can compare them. Let's see. AT01. So yeah, let's see. Let's look at the difference between the two. I'm gonna rub it in your face, John. I was joking. It's messed up. So we have very pink here, and I don't think it matches the palette of the film very well. And then we have these edge issues basically where we have sharp edge and a distorted edge right here, and then your type is sharp. I told you this many times. How dare you give me sharp type? Just joking, but I'm not joking at all. Don't give me sharp type anymore. And I softened this ever so slightly, and also this as well. I could do the same effect as I did for that. So, but that's it. Hopefully that makes sense. What's up, John?
Looks like Mr. Beeple is here.
Oh, hell
Chat.
yeah. What's up, Beeps?
Just to say hi.
What's up, baby?
He said, you guys need some tunes. Turn on some music.
Man, you're a hippie. Get out of here. I was. Actually, John, can you post that link of that epic song that I sent before the chat?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There you go.
Somebody said on the Twitch, it said, would be nice to know how Ashthorpe organizes work files, what system you use, file names, folders, like those kind of versions and stuff.
Yeah.
Can you touch base on that?
Yeah. The way I save my files is, let me grab a document here. So when I save my files, nowadays I just focus on design and creative direction. I'm getting into motion more, but I don't do as much motion at all, if at all ever anymore, because I just have friends and people that I work with that do such a great job, and that's a whole different avenue when you're, let's say you're working on Houdini and all that kind of stuff. When it comes to saving out my files, usually there's many different ways to doing it, but what I like to do is I'll obviously save out my PSD, my working file with all the layers. If I'm integrating a file with, like if I'm using something from Illustrator and then Photoshop, I'll make sure everything's in the same folder and has the same naming convention. What I'll do is I'll probably have like the title of the project, and then I'll have an underscore to split it, and then I'll have like whether it's a revision or a round, or I'll probably, after this, I'll probably put like the title. So if I'm working on, say, 12 monkeys, so it'd be 12 monkeys underscore monkeys, monkeys, and then I would have like my initials, AT, and then I would have 01, and then when I go and make a revision, I'd make either a B, or it would be an underscore B, or I would do like R, like round 101 or something. And so it'd be like, this is me, the first file I made is right here, and then my round or revision would be here. Sometimes I make it like that, but most of the time I usually just go like, I'll just go like B, that's it, and then 01 or something. That would just tell me that that's revision B, and that's the first revision of that one. So if that makes sense. Yeah, so John just posted this song that you guys should listen to because it's freaking amazing, especially you people. It gets really good around a minute and a half or so. Yeah. So that's kind of how I save my files, and I just try to be as clean as possible. And if you're working with somebody, just that, make sure that that's clean and organized. And if you want to put dates in there, you can definitely put dates. If you wanted to, I'd say what I would probably put is the date right around here. I'd go to like, see, like, like I start off with I believe it's the month. I get confused sometimes. I would say it's the month, the date, and then the year. And then there you go. I think in other countries they do it completely different. They'll do like year, month, day, or something like that, or year, day, month. And then it gets really confusing. It's really quite annoying. But if you can try and keep on the same page with everybody, that's really good. So, but yeah, I just try to keep it as clean and organized as possible, and I keep everything really, if it's a Photoshop file, it goes right into Photoshop. If it's a Illustrator file, it goes into Illustrator file. If it's a MindNode, it goes into MindNode. If it's information from the client, it goes into a folder called From Client. If it's stuff that I'm sending to the client, it goes into a folder called To Client. And that way I can instantly find anything. And I've been using this system for quite a long time. It's something that I picked up as I was working in studios and stuff, and I just kind of perfected it myself. So just all it is being clear and finding the things that, being able to find your files, because you don't want to be like a big messy all over the place, because you're going to drive yourself nuts. Okay, John F, this is my notes for you. So change the palette, do all those really awesome compositing tricks that I just taught you. Should be easy. And then I think you're done. I think you're going to be good. I think the core of what you're doing is good. And also, if you change it to this color, I think it'll keep it away from the Halt and Catch Fire stuff. So, which is obviously really great. But we want to make it our own, so let's try and play with that a little bit. I'll just add these effects to it over here. Same thing for all these, like it's the same notes for this, so you have your hard edge and you have like a digital blur. Try to do it like I taught you here, do the overlay and all that stuff. And I'm saving this file for you too, so you have it, so you can look through it. Let me grab these and I'll throw it onto this final file. We'll just see how everything looks. It's much more blood. Let's see. Drop this down a little bit more. Yeah, there we go. That contrast going. Just pull it out of that pink stuff.
Another question from our viewers says,
No. Okay.
All right, I'm muting myself.
What's that?
So could you briefly talk about doing, or briefly about doing versus Talk briefly about doing versus delegating in your pipeline when you work on collaborating with projects.
Yeah, sure.
What do you limit yourself?
Yeah, so delegation is really important when you're trying to, do lots of things. I think, like I was saying, doing the podcast with Richard Taylor, he was saying, I can't wait to. We'll probably be releasing it next month. I think that's when all the podcast episodes are going to start coming back out. We're going to be doing twice a month, guys, so that's going to be a lot of fun. It won't be once a week now because it's just too rugged. But anyways, he was saying that when he kind of delegates or works with his team, he said any great thing that's ever been accomplished on a very broad scale is due to a group of people, a collaboration. So the formula of making something great, it comes down to your ability to be able to delegate as your own role. So for me personally, the first part of delegation is knowing who you are and what you're trying to do. So if you are aware of who you are and what you're trying to do, then you're very much aware of like your goal. And then the next one is about like, so let's see, let me just draw on this. Sorry, John, I'm gonna draw over your folder or your file. I'm gonna make a bunch of scribbles. So the first thing is knowing who you are and what you're trying to do, right? That's your goal. So that's you. So you got to know who you are. The second thing is to know who your collaborators are, your team members, and what their strengths and weaknesses are. Strengths and weaknesses. So finding out what they do good, and then what they do bad, and then it's about you understanding where to put that delegation, basically. So if this person is really good at doing one thing, I'll make sure I send them that and they're like on to go. If they're not good at this thing, then I won't have them do it unless they really want to. Oh, that's why, because it's off the frame here. So you got to be aware of who you are, what you're trying to do. So for me personally, if I give you an exact story or example, what I love to do, what makes me happiest is I love to be creative. So I make it basically a checklist. I love to be creative. I love to design. I love to draw. I love to direct. I love all these things. I also do love the technical sides of things too. I love getting super nerdy with cameras. I love getting super nerdy with renders and all that stuff. It's not in my top priority of love though. Like I love these things more. Like I love directing and communicating and working with the team. I love leading a team. I love all these things. These are my own attributes. Don't think that they have to be yours as well. Be very close. And some of my friends, they just love like going in Houdini and just playing with Houdini all day. Like they love the math of that. And it's like, I would say that's a part of creativity, but it's in a different program basically. So for me, I know all these things. And then what I can do is then when I go into with my team, so if I know what I want to do, and then I have constructed a team of people and I know what their strengths and weaknesses are, I will basically put the delegation into the right spots that matches their strengths, not their weaknesses. Because if you do that, you're gonna be like all day long, what the fuck. So that's kind of how I work, and it's more or less. I always thought, and the analogy I use when I direct is, directing isn't about like making these pretty pictures and whatever. It's about obviously many things, but one of the most important things is it's a people. You're working with people and you're communicating, and you are communicating your ideas, you're working with people and you're trying to get your ideas out, but it's mostly about releasing the potential of your team. A great leader has the ability to unleash the potential of everybody around them. And if they can't, then they're just not a really good leader. And that's something I've been really slowly learning as I go through the process of becoming a leader and becoming a director and running companies and all that kind of stuff. It's all part of the process of finding the right team, the right people, and putting them in the right seats that makes them fulfilled and makes them really happy and also releases the best work. And when you listen to the podcast with Richard Taylor, he's very much in that same realm. It was really cool. It solidified a lot of my intentions because he's been doing it for, I think, 27 years. He's been running What a Workshop itself. But he's a leader, and the way that he leads is really interesting, but it's all about releasing the potential of your teammates and stuff. So hopefully that makes sense. And it's more or less like, finding out how, and also one of the great things of delegation is also finding out what my weaknesses are and being very honest about it. So like, let's say my weakness would be, I'm not really good at like drawing anatomy or something, for example. And so I wouldn't go and kick my head, like throw my head into the wall. Or I don't know ZBrush at all. That's a good one. I've tried to use it many times, and it's just the damn UI. It just stumps me every time. Damn you, ZBrush, because it's like this temptress that I can't play with. It sucks. But yeah, so it's like if I don't know ZBrush, then I would hit up the many different friends of mine that are killer at ZBrush, and they would go off and they would make amazing work, and they would be able to help me with that, and I'd use them as my team member, and then they would use me as their team member as well, and we would symbiotically exist and create something epic at the end of it. And so that's your goal. Epic. Cool. All right, I'm gonna jump into giving some notes to Leo, and then I have to go back to work, guys. Gotta go back to work. Got lots of work to do. Let me see. Let me unzip this thingamabob. Let's see. Where are you guys at here? John, you gotta unzip these, dude. I'll beat you later. I'll give you
Awesome.
10,000 lashings.
I thought you wanted them.
No, thank you. I'm just joking with you. It's okay. Mr. Leo, what's up, dude?
What's up?
How's that beard, dude? How's that beard?
Growing.
Dude, every day, huh? You got a nice beard
Yes.
going on. It's awesome. Yeah, how was your process with making these?
I think if you remember last time, I was working on the black and white, really
Yeah.
geometric, and I keep working on that one. But then I was getting back with Phil and watching his progression, and then we talk, and I start doing explorations using his idea. And
Awesome.
yeah, I just keep going pretty much. I start with 2 or 3, and then we say, yeah, this looks cool, it's interesting, just keep going, and we talk a lot over the few days.
That's awesome.
And yeah, I just put mine aside and try to work together with all the guys to get these ones done.
Very cool. These turned out really cool, guys. I like them a lot. This is really rad. And I can see this, like, if you guys were to submit this is like submittable work as it is. It's ready to go. And it makes a lot of sense. There's some really strong frames in here that work really well. So, like, first and foremost, my hat's off to you guys. Thank you for doing it. And also, it looks really good. So, is there anything that you kind of hit like a wall, or do you had any problems or any issues? I think you guys really executed what you were after quite well. So is there anything that you hit that were, I don't know, problems or anything?
I think pretty much Phil did a lot of work. Actually, I don't know if he want to step up, but he did a lot of previous work, and I can kind of step on his work. So it was more easy in that way. I think
Yeah.
he did a lot of research and investigation before. So
Great.
when I came to this one, it was half of the work done. The work part, the hardest.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's what teamwork is too. It's like, one carries the weight, and then it's like vice versa. And while he's making something, you can also make something. So like as I was explaining the way of delegation when you're working with a team, if that's your goal, is to work with teams, and especially as Robbie was talking about, when you're working with teams, as I do for the years that I've done it, through not even communicate, like being able to meet and work with that person in physical space. Like even with the Ghost in the Shell thing, we had about 40 people in total, and a lot of those people, I mean, almost everybody, I didn't work with anybody in the same room. So of course, if I could have it my way, everybody would be like right there with me, but I just don't have that opportunity. So managing expectations and working with others, and shifting priorities and stuff is really quite important. So, but yeah, these are great. Obviously, I love this frame. It's really, really cool. This is exactly as I was imagining it too. So that turned out awesome, and this is really
Yeah,
cool too.
I think stepping up, I try to do some kind of progression that is not that evident, like the turbine, but it's like this infinite zoom in or zoom out, like it's going forever, and then the type is just floating there from the center off, and you're getting like these clues. But I guess that if you don't know the movie, looking from outside, you don't have to know the meaning, but after you watch the movie, you're gonna say, ah, that's why they use this strange plane making the turbine because it's important on the movie. But if you watch the title before, you are not gonna be able to tell why they put this image there,
Sure,
which
sure.
I think is really cool.
Yeah, no, that is cool. I like that. No, I think that's really smart too in playing with those things. You guys did a
Somebody
good
in
job.
the stream had asked, how did you achieve the kaleidoscope effect? What kind of plugin was it?
Actually, not. It's not a plugin. We use the After Effects. The theme was a mix. I Photoshop the files first to get the center in the way that I want, and then because I know the center, how the center is gonna look on the, I use mirror to get some mirror, and then on top is some kind of Kaleida. So you get the mirroring side by side, and then the Kaleida is just adding on top, and then each one is 2 or 3 layers combined and masking, a lot of masking. So if I like one part, like the guns, I like only the shape on the guns, and then I use another shape behind to make just these little lines, and it's just mixing pretty much mirrors, Kaleida, and a lot of photoshopping.
Cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, there's like it's interesting with the whole world of like the plugins and stuff too. I think um, plugins are cool and they definitely have their place, but I also think it's really quite important to be able to problem solve and do as you're doing right now. Like you said, like it's more of a bespoke thing that you're. The reason why I would say that is because there's a lot of intention behind your ideas, and then your work doesn't just look like the other person's out there. Because if everybody's using the same plugins or the same shaders or something, everybody's work's gonna look the same. It's definitely okay when you're learning and stuff. It's totally fine. But I actually never use plugins, and I don't do a lot of animation stuff. So I know that their plugins are great if they can get you started and get you moving from somewhere. But yeah, just my own personal thought on it. So
Yeah,
yes,
I think overall
yes.
we try to make like the movie. This frame actually with the is like because Donnie is able to like summon water. That's why the you get the flood on the school.
Hmm.
So I that's what I made this one release like summoning the water. It's really like a mystic kind of shape.
Yeah,
So,
it's
but you
really
can
cool.
feel that it still is like water.
Mm-hmm.
The quality of the pictures. I think
Yeah,
I spend a lot of time getting the right picture because that's really important.
it's super important. Having the right picture is basically it. You know, once you have the right picture, when you're doing photo manipulation, like having the right picture, that's something that I learned early on, and also like reiterated through taking Mache's character design class. Like if you don't have the right photograph with the right lighting or the right texture, it's just you're gonna lose. You're just not gonna win. It's not gonna work as well as it needs to be. So it's kind of scary because your success is based off of like how good you are at finding your reference, basically.
Yeah,
um,
or getting the picture that you think that you have to get the idea that you have in your mind. You spend a lot.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and yeah, it's definitely these are really cool references. The photos are beautiful. I think this works really well. I love this frame too. It's great. Also, whoever is either you or Phil that laid out the type, great job. It's perfectly kerned and all that good stuff. So you good,
Yeah,
you good guys.
I just step off on Phil. I mean, he's really good typing, so
Yeah,
I just went back and checked some of his work and trying to again put it on point. When we
awesome.
discussed, I sent you with another phone, but then when I iterate over the frames, I thought it looked so heavy,
Hmm.
and then I changed to something more light and open more the kerning, so I feel now it's there, but it's not so massive as
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. This is
So
awesome. This is very cool. Digging it, man. Love the portal and jumping into it. It's
the
really great.
portal, yeah, I
Yeah.
get it. Nice.
Yeah. It's great because you're
With
going
the
down like the eye too, which is really great.
hmm
Yeah, this is beautiful too, and the connection between the fire and the portal too, which is really cool. So we have
Someone,
what's up?
sorry, somebody mentioned a typo in the gun image. It's
Oh,
just the
okay.
name spelled.
yeah, probably I just we didn't have that much time, so probably I just mistyped some kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, how dirty. No, it's good. I mean, I do that all the time too. So, the one thing is always catch it before you send it to the client. But usually I have my wife look at something like that
Yeah.
because I'm in like my creative head, and usually I'm not very good for writing out things. But yeah, this is cool. The Pontiac is really really rad. This turned out really nice too. It's like perfectly graphical and stuff, which is really cool. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want to work that you see the whole car, but I thought that you
yeah,
always can relate to the eagle on the hood, so I thought that was super
it's
a
great.
nice detail. Everybody gonna recognize that is that car.
Yeah, no, that's smart, and you're finding a way of, instead of just having the car like you said, you're being much more iconic with it, and that's a very smart way of approaching it. And so, I think that's really great. This is awesome. Looks really good, and I think it makes a lot of sense too. So, yeah, this is awesome. I love it. I wish I gave you more constructive criticism. You remember how we have um, in the mentorship class, sometimes you guys just nail it, and all I'm gonna do is just praise you and go through and ask you how and why and stuff. So, because when you do good work, it's like, what else can I say? I'm not gonna try and criticize it. So it's awesome. So that's really cool. I love it, and I love, again, I really support the idea of you finding a cool way of taking something as complex as a car and finding how to make it iconic and putting that into the frames as well. I think that's a really great touch. It's really cool. What we got here?
This is from the book. I just find 2 pages from the book of the time traveling,
Cool.
and I start to play around because in the book there is some diagrams about the water tube that come out from the center of the chest.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I just play around because they have these arrows showing you the diagrams and so on. So I start playing with this.
It's awesome. Yeah, this is really cool too. Yeah, using the book and stuff and having it. I would love to, like, if you were to make this. So if you were, this is obviously the pitch, but then when you would go off to make this, it would be really cool. Like, you would have the book, and then you'd light it, and then you'd have a nice, like a Alexa or like a Red filming this, and you can move the footage around or something, or spin it, or put it on a table, or like a Lazy Susan, rotate it, and then you could throw it through the kaleidoscope effect, and how cool that would look, like in transitioning through those things. Like, you're so cool. So yeah.
Yeah, I think part of the idea behind this one is because on the movie they only showed 2 frames. These 2 pages.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that about if we, let's say that we pitch this one and we win, what happens if we do the pages that you never see, other just continue doing more diagrams and explaining things that are actually not in the movie.
Yeah.
So that was that I put these 2 because I thought that they can lead to someone else that you don't see
Yeah.
anywhere in the movie. It's just you can do more like diagrams and explanations and a lot of stuff.
Yep. You could tell a lot of the story and keep it quite unique and iconic too. By having this, and then by using the kaleidoscope effect, you can really find some really interesting ways of conveying the information and stuff, and finding clever ways of conveying the information as well. And like, it's not what you show, it's about what you don't show. And so this is really cool. I love this part too, the anime eye.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's cool. Yeah, this looks really nice. And again, the typography is really nicely laid out and perfectly placed. So, and I wouldn't change a thing about it. And I think that you found a way of making that frame quite abstract and interesting as well, and going into the eye, which is really cool. Yeah, going even further. Yeah, it's so cool, man. You guys killed it. This is a great job, guys. This is like full on, like, if you were to, like, this is something that you could definitely submit. And I think the things that are really strong here is, like, you've managed to really accomplish the style that you're after and the concept. And so it would be really easy for the director or the producers or whatever to look at this and go, like, yes or no, and it wouldn't be in the middle. And everything that you guys have done to kind of accomplish that makes a lot of sense. So it's a very strong pitch. If it was in a book, it would be definitely very strong to have this in there. So this is awesome. I really like it, and I don't have a lot of notes, so you guys are.
No, I think what I can get your opinion and missing, but it's just about the kind of animation that we're supposed to do. some like color transitions, like maybe you see a little bit of the Frank inside the green one, the fourth one on the a little bit on the third one.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have time to make that, but you think that maybe your opinion that the color progression is not like quite perfect. You get some gaps between the, let's say, the 3 and the 4, because I'm missing some connection there.
Yeah.
I mean, for pitching for a real client, I'm missing some in between in some parts. But
Well, I think it'd work. I think what you could do is use the white of the golf, the hole, and turn that into the eyes, basically.
okay,
That's how I would kind of bleed it through, like Frank is burning through it, and his eye is basically kind of appearing right here. So I would
okay,
make it like there would be his eye right here, and then like right there.
and then you get a cool
Yeah, and then that
progression to the next
transition.
one.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Like there's the way I would probably approach the next step. Let me make some notes. So let's say this is a great example actually. Like you guys, the concept works and you guys win. You're like, yes, stoked. We're gonna be on Donnie Darko because it's awesome. The next phase would be how you take this to the next stage, right? So when you'd have a conversation with the director, and the director would say like, or the producer or whatever, would say like, we really like this one, we like this one, we like this one, blah blah. Like, oh, we don't want to show the engine, so these are out, and whatever. They would kind of go through your ideas and pick through and give you some feedback. How you respond to the feedback and how you iterate and change those or whatever. It's a part of like your own process. And then the next step you would probably do is go like, okay, then how the hell are we going to do this? And then you would go, okay, can we get some footage or assets from the film? And they would say yes or no, based on, how busy they are, if they even have that. They probably would get you the footage. And then the next thing would be like, okay, let's do like a quick 10 to 30 second motion test, basically just to see if you guys can pull off the effect. This is probably not too strange or alien to you because I know you do this kind of stuff already. And then once you can kind of pull off that effect, you'd probably pick like, you'd start off with the axes. So you'd go like, this would be the first frame, then I'd transition from here to here. This would be the second frame, and then this one would be the third. And you do like a 10 to 30 second example of that, and you'd put it over some music. So if it would be like Echo and the Bunnyman or Tears for Fears or whatever, that movie has like crazy good soundtrack too. And then you'd find a way of making the motion. So that would be like one of the things. And then the next one, you'd send that off to the client. They'd either say yes or no, and then give you notes, and then you move on to the second phase, which is trying to make a bigger version of that. And so I'd kind of clump it into sections and do some R&D and try to figure out how to make, like the 60 to 90 second main title design or main on end, whatever this would be. This probably be at the end of the film. Then you'd check that off and be like, okay, this is going to go here and all that stuff. And so it's all part of, just iterating on that process. And then you kick that off to the client, and then they'd say yes or no. And then you'd go and make your final iteration, which would be like, this maybe would extend to like 120 seconds or something. And then you'd add any kind of actual final effects and all those kind of things, and then you ship it off to the client. So it's more like less doing iterations and finding it out. But from going from still images to motion is quite a leap. So you have to be really clear about how you would want to do it. And so there would be like, for me, I would say like how I would want to do it is I would have to definitely cut it to music. So music would be like very important, because music is the way you cut this kind of thing. It's got that rhythm. It's got a beat, and you want to hit that beat and that rhythm and attack that rhythm with especially with the kaleidoscope effect, how you're doing it. It's like, if it was like down, 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 like amazing guitar, I know, but
some timing, yeah.
Exactly. You really want to hit the timing right, and then you can hit that, and then when they can see that, they can go like the way you would animate, you would kind of play with the music basically. And like this frame, for example, like it would start with the skulls maybe, and then the skulls would kind of like come closer to us and reveal the mask behind it, which is Jake, and then it would kind of like do, like it would kind of flow out, and then that would kind of rotate. He would spin and turn and go off frame as we rotate into the grass, and then the grass would then the eyes would kind of come up and develop, and then this would all kind of burn away. Maybe you do it like between doing the kaleidoscope effect, you would think about a way of of doing some sort of like, like Sherlock Holmes, how it has that bleeding mask effect. So you could try that and go like, okay, I think I want to try like the Sherlock Holmes effects, basically, Sherlock stuff. It's funny how when the Sherlock thing came out, everybody repeated it for years. It's quite funny, but there's definitely a way of finding that. And that was just people using masks, basically active masks, to get their ideas out and stuff. So, but I would say it would be kind of cool to have that kind of, that bleeding through, the kind of cutting through the scene would be really cool to have that bleeding mask effect. And then you transition into this, which would be really great. And that would be, I'd probably pick those first 4 frames because you already have it written out and storyboarded. I'd probably pick those 4 things, find a really cool way to execute it, and then hit it to the beat and then kick that off. And your first approach to the client with motion, you better make sure you bring your A++ game, because like if they have problems with it at this stage, it's going to be really difficult for the rest of them, and you want to nail it and get their trust right away. The best feedback you want to get from a client is like, epic, just keep going. That's the best stuff, so that's your goal. And unless you're making it for yourself, and like for this example, like if you guys were to go off and make it, I would love to see that. It'd be awesome. I'd love to help in any way as well, but I think if you were to do this for yourself, it would set the same parameters, like go and make 10 to 30 seconds of it, see if it works, test it, and then go, okay, let's do some more. Go do some work and then test it and then go and work from there, and do iterations basically, and find ways of compiling them. And then you might go like, okay, like this really works, but then I'm having a hard time with these frames, or this one doesn't work as well as I thought it would. And then you're going to find like what works well. But I think that you guys have found a really great roadmap, how you would do it and how you'd move forward and stuff. So yeah. This is great, guys.
Actually,
you guys did a great job.
One thing that I want to say, because I was really careful with the edge of the font, because we always discuss about that. I was listening some interview with Raul Marx the other day.
Yeah.
He said that one trick that they use on the studio is that they blur everything.
Yes.
And then resharp it and then re-blur it.
Yes. Yeah.
And it looks much better and make a huge difference actually. I tried for this one and it really worked well.
Yes. Yeah. I remember I've been telling you that, like if you take your type, because your type is vectors, it's like it's perfect. It's way too perfect, and it stands out like way too broad. If you take your type though, and you blur it, and then you sharpen it, and then like he was saying, he blurs it and then sharpens it again. Yeah,
exactly.
So you can run it through that
and
kind of filter.
And then you get this little artifact that you always told us that it looks cool because it looks more integrated with the footage or with the background.
Yeah, no, that's exactly. And yeah, I mean, Raul he's got such a great eye, and he knows exactly what he's trying to do and approach and achieve. And the difference, I guess, like I was saying, the difference between good work and great work is those little details and being aware of them. Your edge control basically is like when I went on with John. So that's awesome. Yeah, guys, I don't really have any notes other than like, this is great. And I think it's very, very awesome. I'd love for you guys to pursue it further. If I can help you guys, let me know. I think it would be really cool though. There's a ton of potential here, and I think there's a lot of interesting things that are happening that could yield like a really cool effect at the end of this too. So good job, you and Powell. You guys, anybody else in your team that worked on this?
Yeah, Phil, for sure.
Good job, Phil.
Kind of beautiful idea.
Yeah, well, yeah. Good job, dude. Good job, all you guys. This is great. Really stoked. Yes.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And are you guys gonna pursue this anymore? Are you guys done with it and going on to different things?
I think we talk about that. We're gonna refine. We talk about refining this one, and then Phil and I talk about he's gonna help me with my geometric, really simple one.
Awesome. Well,
so we're gonna try to pull both, pretty much.
That's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm stoked. That's awesome. And just keep me posted on Slack if you guys want to share updates and stuff and any notes. And maybe when you guys are done, we'll just have you guys come back on here and we can talk about it some more if you guys want to, and do some live feedback. So that then you can talk about the other effect and stuff too, and getting into all that good stuff. But yeah, great job, guys. It's really great. So
thank you, man.
Yeah. Welcome.
Cool.
You're welcome. Welcome. John, are we good? Anything else?
Just one more question for you.
Yeah, then I'll jump away. Thank you guys.
It says, how do you balance client feedback with your own personal solutions for the piece?
Yeah, client feedback's so unique, right? It's communicating. It's almost like lovemaking or dancing. You gotta be like able to be in the same sync. You have to find the same rhythm. So it's more or less like trying to find that good place. The way I balance it personally is it's really quite difficult because I have a hard time separating myself and my personal intentions with my work because sometimes they're one and the same. So when I get when I get client feedback, if I feel like it's just unwarranted or bad, I have a hard time fighting that. That's probably a common problem for most people. But I think for me, it's like finding a good balance between what they're trying to tell me and then also what I think is most intentional. One thing I always say is this is something that I learned along the way and through some really bad lessons of learning is you never want to be the client's hands. You want to be their brain. They're hiring you for a reason. And for the most part, if you're a free thinking individual, they're hiring you because you have free thinking ideas. And that's one thing I would try to remind my client like why they hired me for the first place without sound like a chauvinistic asshole. So it's more or less like navigating those complicated waters and just letting them know, like, doing what as they ask, but at the same time making sure they're aware of why they brought me in in the first place. So it's a tricky situation, and it all, it's per situation, per project. But I still struggle with it personally. I haven't really figured out how to really navigate those waters. So, but yeah. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully that helps you in some way. Probably not, but if it does, awesome. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys being here. This has been great. It's been really great to see all your guys' work and the development of it all. I hope all my notes make sense. Again, I get the amazing privilege to sit back and let you guys do all the work and then kind of like just, oh, try this, try that, So, but I think there's a lot of really cool potential here. Make sure you're, taking these notes and trying to do this kind of stuff. And I'm excited to see where you guys go with this stuff. And have a great day, everybody.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
That was cool.
You guys can all unmute your mics and can blow some kisses, high fives, mwah, mwah, mwah. Digital kisses. Mwah, 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 mwah. Yeah, great stream, guys. Thank you guys so much. And then I won't be around next week. I'm going to be very busy. I got a couple things, but I will be going on the week after. And I'll show you my boobs later, people. You dirty girl. You dirty girl.
Show your boobs.
The winkle, man. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much. And keep rocking. Have fun. Have fun with your creative endeavors. Be powerful, be prolific, and I'll talk to you guys later. See you guys.